Sydney, did you know that it's happened in Kansas?
That it's happened?
Yes, there's been a Bigfoot sighting in Kansas.
Oh, no.
Listen to this. 8 to 9 foot tall, dark Sasquatch seen by two very credible witnesses 12 miles north of Topeka. This was Monday, March 24th, my cousin's birthday, around 8 p.m. Two local eyewitnesses, Warren Fink and his friend, both in their 60s, I'm not sure why that matters, were driving along a rural dirt road in dusk conditions when they observed the Sasquatch walking away from the road along a fence line. So a full report will be coming out in the next few days. For now, just keep an eye out around Northwest 94th Street, west of Highway 75. So beware.
So
that's where to look, right there.
Two old guys were on a dirt road and they saw Sasquatch.
Yes. I mean, this is breaking news. You don't seem to like grasp the full, reality of the situation.
See, here's the deal. Sasquatch is an Oregon thing. Let them have it.
Look, everybody has to go cross country to visit family. Sasquatches are no different.
I beg to differ. I just,
They're
how, where's the pictures? Where's the video? I mean,
have you no faith?
No, none at all. Especially with older men in their eye vision or whatever. I love how it says a very credible. Like how do we know they're very credible? Class A dusk sighting. Like what is Class A? What does
when dealing
that
with
mean?
cryptids, you have the less than credible, which is really I saw a shadow, and then the more credible where I laid eyes on something for more than a few seconds and I still don't know exactly what it was.
Also, I want to know how they knew he was 8 foot tall.
How tall are you?
If they're driving, how do they know he's 8 foot?
Do they? Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
But do you think two men in their 60s know how to use those measurement apps?
Well, no, because they didn't know how to take a picture.
Exactly. So that's where this story just falls apart. Oh my goodness.
That's from that movie. I don't remember what that movie is.
Sasquatch the movie?
Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
This movie is the weirdest movie. I'm so sorry that I don't remember what it's called, but it is about a family of Sasquatches. And I don't think there's any spoken word in the entire movie. It's just like
grunting.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie. It's kind of it's beautiful. It's devastating. It's weird. I will say it's not for the family. There are some Sasquatch scenes in there that
Sasquatch scenes.
Yeah. but it's a tender movie. Mm-hmm.
A tender movie.
I mean, you can tell in this picture. Look
with
how
some
gently
Sasquatch scenes.
He's touching this butterfly right now.
That butterfly's like, get off, get off, get off. Oh, okay. Sasquatch Sunset Review.
Sasquatch Sunset. That's what it's called.
Dialogue-free Bigfoot comedy?
Yes. Oh, it's definitely a comedy. And I want to say Jesse Eisenberg is one of the Sasquatches.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
When did this movie come out? I don't have my glasses on.
Last year? Yeah, it played at the Art Center Cinema.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Good to know.
Welcome back, Curious Kansans, to Ask a Kansan, the podcast where we talk about the sunflower state and hear about Kansans and what they care about and how they're improving things all the time.
Yes.
And that's as far as we prepped. So, no, we have a great episode for you today. We have Chris Rios from Ellsworth, Kansas, who owns a company called Ultrashine Lighting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good conversation with Chris.
Yeah. He has a really good kind of life story and kind of how he's progressed.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a little bit of firefighting in there, a little bit of barbecue, a little bit of all sorts of things. So
romance novel. It's all of it.
I'll have to read that once you've gotten it written.
Yeah, I'll
So-
write it and I'll let you know.
So, as we say, without any further ado, here's our interview with Chris Rios. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Yeah. You must be Chris?
I'm Chris.
Awesome. I'm Gus.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Sydney.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a seat here and we'll pull this mic over for you.
All right.
Have a nice drive from Ellsworth?
Yeah. So I'm over here every day. Our office is here in Salina.
Oh, okay.
So-
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, so I guess I'm going way back to start.
Sure.
So you grew up in Dallas.
I did.
This is a bit of an odd question, but what kind of kid were you?
Pretty active. Always playing sports of some sort. I got real heavily involved in football and played football all the way up through high school. Did some wrestling and track in high school as well. So, but heavily involved with that and just school activities and things.
Nice.
So
Yeah. So was football your favorite sport growing up?
it was. Wrestling was a close second. Loved wrestling. I ended up blowing my knee out my senior year playing football and wasn't able to wrestle my senior year. But yeah,
That's hard.
football was definitely my favorite. So
So is that what brought you to Kansas Wesleyan?
it was. So they recruited me. I came up here on a scholarship, played offensive line at Kansas Wesleyan. Unfortunately, my freshman year here, I blew my knee out again. So I was done. I decided my football career was over.
Your poor knees.
And yeah, so I ended up being a student coach my sophomore year there at Kansas Wesleyan, and then kind of going from there. So
Nice. Yeah. So, but you ended up staying after
I
being
did.
at Wesleyan. You
I
stayed in
did.
Kansas.
I ended up getting married right out of college to a gal from here. We had 2 kids together. We ended up divorced, and then I've gotten remarried to a gal from Wilson, and we've been together since probably 2017, I think it was, when we kind of started dating. And so
Was there a conscious decision that you made to stay in Kansas, or is that just kind of the way it was?
I had no intention of staying in Kansas ever when I first moved up here. I told my parents if I got hurt, I said, I'm getting out of here as quickly as possible. Ended up,
That's common.
kind of having kids, and kids are kind of what kept me. And I actually, the longer I've been here, I kind of like the slower pace of Kansas versus growing up in the metro of Dallas. So
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I love going back. I go back all the time, but yeah, it's definitely crazy down there. It seems like it grows every time I go back a couple times a year. So
My husband's from Houston.
Okay.
Came up here to go to school.
Yep.
Same story.
yep. So yeah, I don't, if I moved back, I don't know that I could live in Dallas. I'd have to live outside somewhere. So
What was your major at KW?
business.
Okay.
So yep, started out as an education major because I wanted to go back to Texas and coach high school football. Then I decided I was done with school. So I transferred over to business, got my associate's degree in the business, and decided I was going to take some time off, decide what I wanted to do. So
I was a physics major, and then I too switched to business.
Yeah.
And I was happy I did.
yeah. So a little bit easier classes to go through, I feel, in the long run. But yeah, it was good. Ended up switching over, and
And it's applicable to so many things.
it
right?
is. Yep, it can be used all sorts of life. So
So describe to me how you became a firefighter.
honestly, I was working at Air Gas Welding Supply as the warehouse manager. Me and my ex-wife had moved to Bennington, and my manager at the store there at Air Gas and another gentleman were both living in Bennington also. They were both on the volunteer fire department. They convinced me to get on the fire department there. Went and got my EMS certification to help volunteer on the EMS up there, and kind of just fell in love with it. So I went and got all my certifications required and got on Salina Fire Department back in 2009 and was there until September 23.
Wow, at Salina Fire
Yep,
Department.
at
you said?
Salina.
Wow.
Yep.
So you were a volunteer, and then you became full time.
Correct. Yep.
Wow.
And I stayed a volunteer in Bennington after I got on. We ended up moving over by Brookville. I got on the Brookville Fire Volunteer Department as well. Was there for several years. So
for our audience that's from a more urban environment, the whole concept of volunteer firefighting is probably a bit of a stretch for their imagination.
it is. Yep. I remember there were several times when I was working at Air Gas, leaving the store to go back and fight grass fires or whatever it may be, just because manpower is low and it's a lot of small towns. Nobody lives in those towns, so
Mhm.
or
Cindy,
works in those
your
towns.
significant other, your now husband,
Yeah,
is
my-
also a firefighter, right?
He was. Yeah, he was on call. So
Okay.
in McPherson, we have the fire
Yep.
department, but they have on call
Yep.
for grass fires, things along those lines. And so, yep, I remember when that pager went off at 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, just leave so I can go back to sleep.
Oh.
Sure.
But come back.
Right.
Well, I'm kind of the oddball out here that doesn't totally know this lifestyle, but I guess for both of you, then the question is kind of like, can you describe like the role that volunteer firefighters play in the state of Kansas?
They're pretty big. I mean, they're needed, especially in the smaller towns. You don't have the money to pay for a full-time service, so a lot of those volunteers are needed to help protect the town as much as possible. So
Man.
Yeah. Especially, rural, but it's all these, you're really helping farmers is what you're doing in small towns. Because when those grass fires hit, especially, if you hit that Kansas wind, you're knocking out
yeah.
a lot.
right.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, are there any, I mean, I don't want you to tell any stories you don't feel comfortable telling,
Sure.
but are there any things that you important lessons you took away or stories that you have to tell from your time as a firefighter?
Nothing like major. I mean, there were several calls that we ran on that, being able to save somebody was, and actually talk to them later on. Actually, I have a good friend that ended up coding and his heart quit, going and we actually showed up. We were the first ones there. Me and my partner showed up, and to this day, he's still living. And so, yeah, I mean,
I imagine that really
It
forges
did.
your relationship.
it did. Oh, yeah. So it was a good experience to the fact that not only did I take care of him in the field, my wife, who I was dating at the time, she actually was his nurse in the ER because that's how we
wow.
met. She was his nurse. So him and his wife ended up catering our wedding. I knew him through we did barbecue competitions. And so I knew him through that, and they ended up being our caterer at our wedding.
Wow.
So,
Man.
So yeah, so you mentioned barbecue.
yep.
So tell me more. Yeah.
How do you get into that?
I mean, I feel like firefighters are either into barbecue or they're into brewing. Is that true?
Yeah, there's a lot. So actually, when I was working at Air Gas, one of my coworkers, he actually was real big into barbecuing. I growing up in Texas, I ate barbecue all the time, but he was into building smokers, and he kind of helped me build a smoker and kind of got into it. We built a competition smoker, and I kind of got into it with another buddy of mine. We went and did a competition. We came in dead last in the very first competition we did, but it's fun. You're sitting out there on a Friday night going into Saturday, and you're up all night. You're having a few beers and just cooking, and then turning it in, presenting it to the judges. Learned a lot over the years. Won several competitions. I've placed in several competitions as well. We went up to the American Royal competition and competed up there one year. I was actually sponsored by Jim Beam at one time.
Wow.
And they paid for my entry up there at the American Royal, and I cooked for their party that they had on Friday night. So,
Cool.
yep, it was a good time.
I think the barbecue world is a little bit unique. I don't think, obviously, people from other countries and stuff have probably tried barbecue at one point, but they don't understand the culture around it and the idea of feeding people. Just like,
well, even around America, it's the barbecue taste and flavors are completely different everywhere. So,
but there's a guy from Kansas, I think, who takes barbecue to places after disasters and stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't
Yeah.
remember his name either, but he'll show up and do, it's like a whole team from across the country. They'll show up at like natural disasters and help cook for the first responders and things.
That's really cool.
So,
So you went from firefighting to something completely different.
I did. So originally I'd started as a side gig just to make some extra money working at the fire department, cleaning windows. So started noticing a lot of the Facebook groups and forums that a lot of people were hanging Christmas lights on their days or through the winter to kind of help offset that winter hours. Kind of fell in love with it. I've always loved Christmas lights. Remember as a kid going around looking at Christmas lights all the time with my parents. And So started doing that, and it actually the very first year I only got 7 customers, and I'm like, oh, this is dumb. I'm never going to do this again. And my best friend, my wife now, they convinced me, maybe to stick it out another year. So I did, and it just kind of grew from there. Now we install probably 150 houses a year
wow.
just with temporary lights. About 5 years ago, we got into doing the permanent lights also that people put on their home, change the colors and motion and things with an app on their phone. So that's really taken off for us as well, where we're doing that all over. We're actually expanding. We're opening up a second location this month down in Dallas, actually. My brother-in-law is going
Oh,
to
cool.
open that location for us. So,
Wow. One of the things that I obsess about with entrepreneurs and businesses is how they came to the name that they
Sure.
used. So tell me about Ultrashine.
I honestly couldn't tell you. So it was originally Ultrashine window cleaning. And because I was doing it on the side, I just made Ultrashine holiday lights, and it just kind of stuck. It's just kind of become our name and our brand, and we live
Nice.
it and just
Yeah.
kind of love
Yeah.
it. So
That's great. So you went from 7 customers, you said the first
Yep.
year?
7 customers.
So what kept you in it?
Just honestly, we were sitting around having a beer one night, and they convinced me, just give it a shot, one more year. What's it going to hurt? It's not like you're going to lose any money by keeping these customers. So I said, all right. And 7 turned into 25 and then to 50. I mean, it just kind of kept growing.
Was it word of mouth? Or was it
For the most part, word of mouth and yard signs originally. Now we're
Mm.
into running Facebook ads, Google ads, things like that. But referrals are huge for us. We get a ton of referrals every year. So
Cool.
And so tell me about the geographic area you're serving in Kansas.
So we cover, for our main temporary lights, we cover from Saline is of course our main area. We go out to Hayes, we go to Great Bend, kind of right here in the central, a little bit in the western. We go down to, like I say, Great Bend, Little River, McPherson, that. But for permanent lights, we kind of cover Hayes to Manhattan, down to Wichita, and for larger jobs, we'll kind of go anywhere in the state. So
Wow. So when you started out, was it just you?
it was just me. So year 1, it was just me hanging the lights. Might even been year 2 as well. I think I brought a guy on just here and there year 2. And then I've had several firefighters throughout the years. I did had a college kid at Kansas Wesleyan that once he got with us, I think he was with us for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
He ended up leaving to go be a highway patrolman. So now currently I have 1 full-time installer, I have an office manager, and then we have some part-time guys that help us out as needed as well.
Nice. So as your organization has grown, how has, what you do personally on a day-to-day basis changed? And how have you kind of stepped into that leadership role?
It's definitely been a change. I still go out and install and help, trying to slowly transition out of that so I can focus more on the business. But it's definitely been a change. I've never had a business type role like that. So trying to balance has been a learning challenge at times, but I feel like I've done well in the fact that have a business coach. I've taken several different classes and, just different instructors trying to help teach you how to balance the between working in the business and working on the business. So I've definitely had to learn that. I've also taken on the role as the brand of permanent lights we use is Inception Lighting. I've taken on the role as the brand CEO for them as well.
Oh, wow.
So juggling both jobs, it's been definitely interesting.
So what does that mean?
So with Inception Lighting, like I said, it's the brand that we use. They actually started the permanent lighting business 15 years ago. So they've been around for a long time. We have a group of people that the owner, Vince Palisota, he started a group called Alpha Collective. So it is a collective of several different micro brands underneath that brand name. And basically it's guys that want to focus more on growing their permanent lighting business. So we have from all over California out to the East Coast, down to Texas. I mean, everywhere we have installers where they're they're wanting to make it a emphasis on growing the permanent lighting business. I started with that last June. I've known Vince for a long time. We actually have a great connection. He played football for Texas A&M.
Oh, wow.
I'm a huge Texas A&M fan growing up down there. So it just kind of, we hit it off real well. And he brought me on this last, I think it was in February, to be the brand CEO and help grow that side.
Nice. So I assume, are you guys designing these products?
So I don't do any of the design work. I'm in charge of the kind of the day-to-day operations for the Inception Lighting, where we help get new installers out there. We're looking for commercial work and municipality work. We run ads for the people in the collective as well, and just kind of making sure the day-to-day process of guys can order their product and get it in when needed, and that type of deal.
My family's in manufacturing for agriculture.
Okay.
And, we're starting to feel some of the tariff stuff. Are you guys having any problems with that?
It hasn't hit us yet, but we know it's coming. We actually talked to our distributor the other day, and he said right now they haven't had to change any prices because we have a lot of stuff in stock. But he said it's gonna hit sooner or later.
Yeah.
So
well, best of luck. Obviously,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, navigate those waters. Everybody's
It's
kind
gonna
of not sure what to think at the moment.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, permanent lighting and even temporary lights, it's a luxury service to have someone come out and put your lights up every year, take them down. So it's definitely a luxury and premium service. It's not needed, but people like it just for the ease. They don't have to worry about getting on their roofs or putting the lights up, bulbs being out, or having to store their lights every year. We take care of that for them. So it all trickles down, unfortunately, even to the consumer as far as what our costs are. So yeah.
Do you do any of the big houses like Fox Run where it's just lights on lights on lights on lights?
No, we don't do Fox Run. We do several homes over in the Grand Prairie edition.
Okay.
We just did a large house out on Country Club with permanent lights.
Okay, cool.
Right there across from, I guess at one time it was the Bishop's old house is what I've been told.
Oh,
yeah.
So we did that one with permanent lights this last year. But we're scattered out all over Salina where we have it.
Yeah, you guys done my house and did a great job.
We do your house.
And
So
I definitely appreciate not having to get on the roof.
Sure.
So thank you. Yeah, good.
I have a husband for that, so he gets on the roof and I do everything else. That's his.
It's
You are
funny
the
how
husband, I guess.
it's funny how many times we get calls from wives who are like, I've been begging my husband to do it, and he just keeps dragging his feet. Will you guys come out and do it? Absolutely, or we got the husband. Hey, I need you to get my wife off my back. So please just come out and get this done for me, so I can just be done with it.
Amen.
So
Amen.
yeah.
That's so funny.
It's interesting that part of your career was in life-saving work,
Sure.
right? And now your career is in something that's kind of frilly and it's and it's decorative. And when I got married, we had the reception in this venue, and we put lights up, and I think there was a group of volunteer firefighters that came in and put it up.
Sure.
And that was the first time I ever thought about kind of this juxtaposition of this like frilly thing with life-saving people, I guess. And I'm realizing that it's not a coincidence that people like you are doing this work, because like electrically, there's a lot that can go wrong.
Sure.
If somebody like me is trying to wire up lighting at my house, I can probably cause some problems.
It can. Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, especially back in the incandescent days, we still see people out there with incandescent lights on, and you can only run so many of those lights on one strand before you're blowing circuits or whatever it may be. You got to kind of check for faulty outlets before you plug them in. Kind of have to know, make sure there's no cuts in your wires or anything like that. We've run into the fact where sometimes the cord or whatever will get caught on a gutter and just have a little nick in it from whipping around in the wind. So the next year we go out, we check all the cord, make sure that's all taken care of. We check for our lights, make sure they're not going to trip and things like that. That's one thing about us. What we do is we try and go out at least once every couple weeks, if not every week. me or somebody will be driving around, just checking properties, making sure everything's working. We did a home here that I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. We just showed up, just jump on a roof because we saw a couple bulbs that weren't working. She pulls up. She's like, "What are you doing on my roof?" And I'm like, "Well, you had some bulbs out, and we figured we'd just stop and take care of it." That way, she goes, didn't even know." So,
Yeah.
it's nice for the customers. They don't have to worry about calling us. But if they do see it before we do, call us and we come out and get it fixed for them.
So as you look towards the future, obviously you mentioned expanding to Texas,
Right.
but here in Kansas, are there services that you're going to expand to providing? Or?
Yeah, so we're working with a couple of municipalities right now on trying to get some permanent lighting on downtown. We actually have a meeting, I think it's next week, with downtown Lincoln. We're going to a chamber event that they're doing to promote helping them get those lights on. We also do landscape lighting. We do some outdoor audio as well. We brought outdoor audio in this year. So the commercial and municipality market is something we're really going after this year to kind of grow the business. Residential is fun because, people are going to be able to use it all the time. And so are municipalities. One thing with municipalities that you can use is we did downtown Lions with the permanent lights. On game days, they can turn it to school colors for game days. During 4-H week, they can turn it green for 4-H. I mean, just little things like that. And then even for commercial businesses, which we're really going after this year, for brand awareness. So you can be able to change their colors to kind of match their branding. We did Equity Bank here in town, and, they do pink for breast cancer awareness. They do 4th of July colors and that type of deal. So
Wow.
really help draw attention to their business.
Wow.
Oh, cool. Well, we're going to take a quick break real quick, and then we'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Renaissance Cafe. Serving Northern Italian cuisine prepared with a fresh, contemporary influence, the Renaissance Cafe is one of Kansas's favorite restaurants. Whether you're planning a romantic dinner date, a family celebration, or an intimate meal with friends, the Renaissance provides a unique dining experience with an old-world atmosphere. Open Thursday through Saturday evenings, the Renaissance Cafe is located just south of Salina in Assyria, Kansas. Visit renaissancecafeassyria.com to book your reservation today. Welcome back. So kind of wrapping things up, I'm curious, as you look back on everything, football, firefighting, now being an entrepreneur and a business owner, what are you most proud of?
Honestly, a little bit of everything. I mean, it's hard to pick one thing. I'm proud to see how far I've taken this business. I'd never thought that I'd make it to a point where I could retire early from the fire department and just be running who would have thought, a Christmas light business, at that. So I'm definitely proud of that. Working at the fire department for 15 years as firefighter paramedic. I mean, there's a lot of calls and things that we did that, made it large impacts on people and their families. But, if it wasn't for football bringing me to Kansas, I don't know that I ever would have gotten into firefighting. I doubt that I ever would have gotten to Christmas lights. So, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of everything. I can pull little pieces out that really stand out.
Definitely. Entrepreneurship isn't for everybody.
No, it's not.
What would you tell somebody who's thinking about starting a business?
Really do your research, figure out the toll it'll take on your family. Is a huge one. I mean, there's been many nights that I've been up till 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, working on estimates, missing things with family. So really take a deep dive into what you're wanting to do, and figure out what is all it's going to take. Funding is huge. Make sure you have some type of idea of what's going to cost you to start this business and keep it sustainable. And then, just setting aside, making sure you make time for yourself and your family on the backside. I mean, it really, if you don't have your family support, it definitely will take a toll on your spousal life and everything else. So
there's obviously a lot of benefits to entrepreneurship too,
there is,
that we both know about.
Absolutely. So
set your own hours.
Yep. Set my own hours. I mean, like this week I'm taking off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The wife and I are going to a concert and just getting away. So, and it's nice having staff now that I know that the business can still run when I'm gone. If I want to take off early to go to a kid's sports event or whatever, I can do that. We're at the fire department. You'll see the fire trucks at a lot of sporting events around town, But, if it's an out of town game or whatever, not having to worry about, am I going to miss this event or whatever it may be, or take off and have to use my PTO and things like that. I can just do my thing.
Yeah. So one of my my favorite videos on the internet is a TED Talk from this guy named Simon Sinek.
Yep.
Start with why.
Uh-huh.
You ever seen it?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a big believer in identifying your why personally and for your organization. Do you have a personal why?
I'd say my why honestly is my kids. Setting up whether they decide to take over my business down the road or not, having it where they're supported, they can continue to do whatever it is they want to do, whether it be sports or activities. I got two daughters that do two daughters to do softball right now, one that's in baton. My oldest one also, she's done track, she's done volleyball. My middle one, she does basketball as well. So if that's what they want to go into, or having this business set up for them down the road, if they decide this is what they want to do. So yeah, that's my
great.
kids are my biggest why on why I do it.
Do you have any other questions, Sydney?
I do not. I am really curious about this firefighter ER nurse story.
Oh, sure. So,
because that's like a romance book for me.
so we've known each other for a lot of years. I got divorced, and she actually had gotten divorced around the same time. It just kind of, it's one thing. We kind of see the same thing. We see the same patients. We know each other. You build a relationship, whether we're not employed by the same person, but you work closely with the ER people in the ER, being a paramedic. And so we just kind of grew a friendship, and it just kind of blossomed from there, started hanging out, and just kind of took off. So
awesome. What station were you at here in town?
So Salina, we rotate stations.
Okay.
So you rotate every 3 to 6 months, depending on the station.
I didn't know that.
As a paramedic, so the officer of the station and the fire engineer, they stay there. They're stuck at that station, but everybody else rotates. So some stations you're at for only 3 months, some stations you're at for 6 months, depending on, as a paramedic, depending on if you're on a fire truck at that station or not. A couple of stations you just ride an ambulance. So yeah, we rotate around, just kind of give you, you kind of get a sense of some stations are busier than others. So you kind of get a little bit of a break, but at the same time, calls were getting more and more, and you weren't really ever getting a solid break. So,
Wow.
I grew up across the street from the one on Belmont.
okay.
So literally like from first grade to my mom just sold that house last year.
Yeah.
So we got well acquainted with just going over and saying, hey.
Sure. Yeah. So that's the last station I was at. I retired when I was at Station 3 down there. They all have their benefits. They all have your negativities to them. So, I've been gone a little over a year and a half now, and tell you what, I can walk into a station now and I don't know half the people in there just because they get
Really?
yeah.
It's a lot of
They've had a
turnover.
lot of. It's not so much turnover, but they just are hiring all along
just
right
newer
now.
faces.
So yeah.
Okay.
So
Are you jealous of these guys getting new rigs and a new fire station online here in the next?
Honestly,
few years?
I miss the station life, but the more I've been out of it, I really don't
miss
miss running
it?
the calls. So I miss sitting around the station with the guys. And there's certain things that I miss, but my business is taken off so well that I actually enjoying just relaxing a little bit, sleeping in my own bed every night, not having to miss my kids' stuff. And it makes I'll tell you what, during Christmas light season working at the fire department, it was a little stressful. You get
I can only imagine.
trying to take phone calls and working, and it just didn't work out so well. So I knew if this is what I wanted to do and wanted to continue to grow, it was something I had to do. It was retire. So
Wow.
I got to the point where I got vested, and I knew once I got vested, then I was going to step away and run the Ultrashine Holiday Nights. So.
Oh, cool.
Well, congrats on the success. We wish
Appreciate
you continued success.
Well, thank you.
And thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Great.
Perfect. Welcome back from our interview with Chris. Gus, how do you, what was kind of your takeaways?
Yeah, it's funny how holiday lighting, firefighters, and barbecue often go together. These things apparently just align themselves in nature. So
You would think it would be firefighters, barbecue, and 4th of July. So I feel like putting Christmas lights in there is semi the same, just a different season. There's lots of sparkle and twinkle involved.
sparkle and twinkle. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. I think his story is awesome because it shows, the evolution of well, he was a public servant, obviously, taking care of people in his community, which is awesome, but also wanted to create something new and start his own business.
Well, I think there's probably a lot of stories kind of similar of firefighters starting. A lot of firefighters are actually entrepreneurs, and there's more than you actually think. Because they have, so many days off. And so, how do you fill those? They get extra jobs or they find ways, side jobs, and those side jobs become, real jobs and real businesses. And it's a really cool story.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to launch into one of our recurring segments here on Ask a Kansan, which is our cultural arts calendar. And this time, this is for late April through early May 2025. And my source for this is festivalguidesandreviews.com/Kansas festivals. And I say that just because there's more there than I can mention here. And there's so much going on in Kansas. And until I started really digging, I didn't know just how many opportunities there are. You will not be able to catch them all. I can guarantee you that. So starting
like
out,
Pokemon.
April 24th through 26th, that's a weekend, I believe, is the Wichita Jazz Festival.
Oh, yeah.
This has several concerts spread out across Wichita. And there's headliners. I don't know these people, but hopefully if you're into jazz, you do. April May Webb, Randall Haywood, Matt Wilson, and Good Trouble. And you can find out more about that one by visiting wichitajazzfestival.com. One that I'm a little bit more familiar with is the Kansas Storytelling Festival. This is up in Downs, Kansas, which is just west of Concordia, actually a little ways west of Concordia. This is April 25th through 26th. I have a little quote here from them. Prepare to be enchanted by captivating tales from masterful storytellers. Immerse yourself in the excitement of the Tall Tale Contest and discover the rich tapestry of local legends. With a lineup of engaging events and activities, there's something for everyone to enjoy at the Kansas Storytelling Festival. And Downs is a very small town, kind of out in the middle, so it's a journey to get there. But I've heard great things about this. My parents went last year, I think. So to learn more about that one, kansasstorytellingfestival.com. Down in Pittsburgh, Kansas, from the 25th through the 26th is Cowboy Days. This will be hosted by the Crawford County Historical Museum. And if you're into cowboy singing and poetry, which I know you are, Sydney,
I am.
they will be gathering around the campfire on Friday to do that. There'll also be demonstrations. I'm not exactly sure of what, singing, vendors, and a lot of shenanigans. So visit explorecrawfordcounty.com for more details on that one.
If I had to guess, probably you said demonstrations. Is
Yeah.
that what my guess is? Like
Cowboy
roping,
stuff?
maybe even like twisting your own rope. That's a thing that people
Wow.
do.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Soap making or butter churning or
No, I
No?
think it'd probably be more like how to cook a can of beans over a campfire. You have to think more cowboy, more rugged. How to
You
properly
tell
saddle
me.
a horse.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the things that come to mind. I don't know if any of that is true, so don't take
It's
my
all
word for
conjecture.
it. But
But go and prove us right or wrong
Yeah, let us
in
know.
Crawford County.
mhm.
On the 3rd of May is the Flint Hills Festival. This is at the Flint Hills Discovery Center in Manhattan. From them, experience the culture and beauty of the Flint Hills at our annual community festival, featuring live entertainment, food trucks, children's activities, community groups, and more. I am ashamed to admit I've never been to the Flint Hills Discovery Center,
have
but I have heard
not.
amazing things. And if you haven't driven through the Flint Hills, this is a great opportunity to do that. The next one made it on the list just because I love the name. On the 3rd as well. So you can go to Manhattan and do two things here. There is the Frog Wizard Festival.
The Frog Wizard Festival.
Correct. All I've been able to piece together from what's available online is that this is some sort of musical event hosted by the Manhattan Brewing Company, and it's featuring local bands, and details are scarce, but with a name as interesting as Frog Wizard, you can guarantee it's going to be interesting. So check that one out.
Okay.
And I'm down to my last two here. So on the 3rd and 4th of May is the Midwest Songwriters Festival. This is in, I've been practicing this name and I'm going to screw it up, Frontenac, Kansas, which is also down by Pittsburgh in southeast Kansas, at Pickled Pete's Bar and Grill. And they're going to have a songwriting competition. So it's about a 2-day festival. So
Pickle Pete's.
Pickle Pete's.
I love that name.
And I would be remiss to not mention the numerous Cinco de Mayo celebrations that are coming up in early May. On the 3rd, there is the Emporia Cinco de Mayo Festival, and there's the Cinco de Mayo Festival in Great Bend as well. And the next day, on the 4th, there's Top City Taco Loco in Topeka. And did I say Topeka twice?
I don't know.
I'm so sorry. Okay. And then Festival Cinco de Mayo at the Sedgwick County Zoo in Wichita, as well as Liberal Cinco de Mayo. So many opportunities to go and celebrate the 5th of May and Hispanic culture in the background.
You forgot the most important day.
Oh, no.
May 4th.
Please explain for everyone out there who's eagerly waiting.
So May the 4th is Star Wars Day. And I'm sure there are Star Wars things happening on Star Wars Day, because I think it's on a Sunday this year. So I'm sure there's still Star Wars things happening on May the 4th. It's also my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
Ah.
I know if you're in the Kansas City area, it may or may not be over the state line, but there is a May the 4th celebration involving lightsabers and duels and stuff.
Or you can just have your own May the 4th day.
Yeah.
All you need is a bathrobe and something that semi-resembles a lightsaber. A stick, a cane, a yardstick.
I would recommend getting as close to lightsaber as you can so you don't get arrested for public indecency. Going out with a big long stick in your bathroom.
I didn't think that one through very well. I assumed you'd had clothes underneath the bathrobe.
So that's all I've got for this edition of Cultural Arts Calendar. We'll be back with more for late May and early June. So that's going to take us into our other recurring. Did you have something?
You need to stop for a break because we've only got like so many breaks.
I am so bad at breaks. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Want to spread your organization's message across Kansas? Consider becoming a sponsor. Ask a Kansan has a unique focus on Kansas and its people. By sponsoring our podcast, your organization can reach people from Canarado to Kansas City, Wichita to Washington, and all the great places in between. We have a variety of sponsorship packages available to fit your budget and needs. For more information, visit askakansan.com/sponsorships or call us at 785-571-9507.
Well, it's time again for your favorite.
My favorite.
Your favorite thing that we do on this podcast, which is Where in the Rectangle, the segment where Sydney guesses the location of a place in Kansas, and then I give you some background on that. So you've probably heard of this town, Sydney, but where in the rectangle is Oberlin, Kansas?
Oh, I know exactly where Oberlin is.
Oh, well, let's test that confidence.
I've been there enough. I probably should know. Oberlin is in what I believe to be Ellis County.
Oh, so close. So close. Do you want to try one more time?
I'm so close. No, because it's not as close as... Is it Trago? It's like up there. Up there.
You are in the right region. I will give you that. It is in Decatur County, which is the
I should have known that.
Top row, third from the left. And so Oberlin, in full transparency. So I did research on Oberlin and I was happy with it. And then I decided to feed all of this into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT gave me a very entertaining version of the history of
Please let
Oberlin.
me know.
So it is a little bit extra at times. Tucked into the high plains of northwest Kansas, Oberlin began as more than just another prairie settlement. It was a symbol of stubborn ambition and the unpredictable, often violent story of Western expansion. In the late 1870s, settlers, mostly Civil War veterans and homesteaders, began staking claims in the Sapa Creek Valley, drawn by its rolling hills, wide open sky, and the promise of farmland as far as the eye could see. But they weren't alone. In 1878, Oberlin became unwillingly etched into history as the site of the last Indian raid in Kansas. A band of Northern Cheyenne fleeing starvation and death in the Indian Territory in Oklahoma passed through the area on their desperate trek back to the North Plains. In an act of survival and sorrow, they raided homesteads near what would become Oberlin, killing over a dozen settlers. Some accounts say they were looking for food. Others suggest it was retribution. Either way, the event set the town's foundation in tragedy and memory. By 1885, Oberlin was officially incorporated. Like many prairie towns, it grew up fast. There was a courthouse, schoolhouse, a church, grain elevators, and a train line. But what set it apart was its relationship to memory. The town built monuments, it named parks, and it created Sapa Park. Now, it was originally a lake, but it dried up, and now it is a revitalized wetland. And that was done by WPA-era work crews during the Great Depression. Today, Oberlin is a quiet place with an echo. You can still hear and feel the frontier, not just in the winds that swept across the wheat fields, but in the deep sense of a community shaped by conflict, resilience, and an ongoing dialogue with its past. My only last thing to add to this is we filmed a short video for a nonprofit in the area, actually kind of within that Sapa Park. And,
Miriam's Hope.
Yeah, and we ate lunch downtown at the Landmark Inn at the Historic Bank of Oberlin, and that was quite an experience. Pretty good food, and I think we sat with the owner of the restaurant for a while and heard about Oberlin and everything. So
Yeah, our friend Tanner Colvin, photographer here in Salina, his mom's family is from there. So I've been to Oberlin a lot. They have a great county fair there still. They have, gosh, what else? I just remember the county fair because you could win a lot of stuffed animals and you would trade in the stuffed animals. That was the best thing. So if you had like 4 little ones, you could trade them in for like a medium one. And if you had like so many medium ones, you could trade them in for the big ones. And then they just reuse the stuffed animals every year for the little prizes and just get the new big ones every year. So, they also had, it's like, the rides are still done by volunteers that are still on the original county grounds. Like it's one of the last true county fairs with all the rides left. So
wow,
yeah.
This economies of trading in stuffed animals it reminds me of the episode of The Office where Dwight constructs this crazy point system. Do you remember that?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, my brain goes to The Office often.
Office.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you would like Sydney to guess where your town is located, go ahead and send us a message. Don't comment because Sydney can see those.
I can see all of it.
That would be cheating. So please send us a message, and we would love to include your town on Where in the Rectangle. Well, we'll take a break and be right back. Have you heard people in your organization say, we need video? At Feely Creative, we develop videos to drive your marketing strategy. We are problem solvers, crafting messaging and visuals to achieve business goals. Whether you need to share your organization's identity, convey company culture, attract the right people to your team, or put your products on display, Feely will help you communicate effectively and get back to what you do best. Let's get creative. Feely Creative.
So we have lots of comments on TikTok that are really funny. All right. So we're going to go. Our TikTok has kind of not necessarily blown up because we don't have like millions of views. But for us here in Kansas, 838 followers is a big deal.
We are happy.
We're happy with that. And if you remember, I went through Butler County Sheriff Department Facebook page and we found out that it's illegal to hunt whales in Kansas. And so we put that on TikTok and we got some really funny comments. Mickey says, as a Butler County resident, I thank you for this reminder. Saved me an arrest.
Hard to hide the evidence.
Yeah. You know? Hugh's laughing now. Oh, Hugh's laughing now. Oh, that's a good one. That's funny. Says, we here in Kansas are so careful with our wildlife that it's also illegal to catch bullfrogs in tomato patches.
Really?
I believe him. I don't know. I didn't fact check this.
It sounds like a gardener who has an issue and they feel like they can't address it.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, so, please be serious. Commented a MLK Jr. quote, and it says, "One has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws."
In this case,
In this case, that's
it would
kinda
be
funny.
so expensive.
So expensive.
You would have to like create some sort of giant whale container, ship that whale from an ocean, and then tragically kill that whale to break this law. Wow.
Yeah. Elizabeth says, "Well, there goes my whale oil business."
That's kind of sad just because like in Japan, I think that probably is the thing.
Yeah.
And so that's sad.
Yeah.
By the way, Merlin's got a fact check here for us. He says, in Kansas, it's not explicitly illegal to catch bullfrogs in a potato patch. Didn't you say tomato?
I said tomato.
Oh, well, anyway. But it's important to remember that you need a valid fishing license to take, catch, or kill bullfrogs. And the season is from July 1st through October 31st. I would have never thought a fishing license
Had to be used for catching frogs.
I mean, amphibians, I guess, yeah, interesting. Learn a new one. Watch out,
Who
people.
would have known?
Thanks, Merlin.
Let's see. Oh, Amanda goes, "This whole time I've been trying to find a safe place to relocate my whale. Thank you for your contribution."
Well, yeah, you know where to go. Right here in Kansas. Please don't bring your whale.
Crazy Kansas Kid says, "I hope Amazon will accept the returns on my harpoon." Let's see. Oh, thanks for the reminder. As a Butler County resident, I had my life jacket and boat that I don't own all geared up to go whale hunting. Bummer. That was from Ash. So yeah, a lot of people thought that was pretty funny.
If anyone does decide to go illegally whale hunting in Kansas, would you please send us some video or photo proof?
I'm very curious.
We
of
just
that.
like, I mean, we of course don't condone any illegal activities.
None at all, or
but-
whale killing for that matter.
Yeah.
But if you happen to be
right out here on the prairie, yeah, if you do that, please, we would love to see evidence.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of the whales were real popular on the Tickety Talks. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today on Ask a Kansan. Make sure to follow us on all the social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Give us a shout. Tell us, if there's topics that you want to hear, if you have suggestions for people that you want to see or hear on the podcast, just let us know.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining.